to switch the camera. Okay. Okay, we're live.
We're actually live right now?
Yeah, we went live automatically.
Oh.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Peter Berry.
Hey, I'm Leisha Berry.
And we are Juicy Sacred Living TV today. And welcome to episode number 18, Creative Enjoyment. We're really revved up to talk about this amazing subject today. What do you think, honey?
What do I think about creative enjoyment?
Yeah, what does that mean to you?
Well, I'd say that creative enjoyment for me is about actually having a playful spirit when creating. And one of the things that I know about myself as a cultural creative, it means that I'm creating all the time, as we all are, but doing it, I'm always examining what I'm creating. Is this useful? Is this towards my goals? Is this towards my, ideas? And really, Juicy Sacred Living is about enjoying life. And that's what we've kind of decided to do with our travels and, making it intentional as we're creating our life, that we actually are going places and enjoying culture and enjoying art and enjoying people and that makes sense to me. But the part that doesn't make sense to me, or hasn't always made sense to me, is that creating what I create also I can enjoy creating. So like if I'm writing a book, which I do a lot, or
yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing a lot, that if I get into that headspace of I'm not enjoying it, then it's really hard to create it. Right. It's sort of like trying to push a watermelon through the eye of a needle, or it's like trying to do something that feels like so much work, and it's so hard, and it's just not fun. And that's what comes right off the top of my head. That's what I think of.
Okay, well, for me, I think something similar, but I like to go to where the origin point is inside of myself. And for me to be really, no matter what I'm doing, I need that to tap into that sense of childlike wonder at the world, that creative enjoyment that for me comes from that place of fewer filters, like not laying anything over my experience, but really letting it well up from inside and letting the wonder of everything around me come through me. And when I'm doing that, I catch this stream of energy that carries me forward in what I'm doing, instead of having to force something to happen or having to try to make something happen.
So when you get into a place of forcing something to happen, we all do this, right? We all get into space sometimes where we're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this X, Y, or Z thing, and I'm not really excited about it, and it kind of feels like, okay, yeah, I gotta get it done. I find that makes me feel like I put the brakes on. Like there's a part of me that resists even doing the thing because I'm in that space about it, instead of being excited about it, or being playful about it, or even just creating the conditions around whatever it is I need to do. Because face it, we all have things that we have to do sometimes that we're not particularly excited about doing. But if I create conditions around it that feel more supportive, or more fun, or more just, there's an enjoyment factor, like putting music on when I sit down to write, or having a nice cup of tea with me, when I'm creating a new course, or I love cooking, and it's not drudgery when I've got time, like plenty of time. I'm not rushed. Like compression is a huge factor for me in draining enjoyment from creating. For me, some people thrive on compression.
Well,
some people thrive on a compression.
I do thrive on compression, but only for certain things. If I'm trying to do something super creative, well, no, that even works for me. For those of you who don't know, I have a bachelor's degree in fine arts in drawing and painting.
And so do I,
and
for that matter.
Yeah, you do too. But my professors used to just freak out in the first half of a semester, because I would have little preliminary sketches and drawings, and I would have ideas. But it was the last month of a semester that I would just push out a ton of work. And finally, I think it was about the third semester, Medford Johnston, who was a great great professor for me, finally just said, okay, I can relax. I know you're just spooling up and all this. You're going to have more work than anybody else by the end of the semester. I just need to relax and let you do your process. And you can see the reaction here, right?
Oh my God.
So for me, that's part of my process, and it's absolutely antithetical to Leisha, because for
we are
her,
so the opposite in this way.
Right.
And it stresses me out so much, especially considering that part of the work we do is together. You know, I have immense, wonderful work that I do with Daughters of Earth and the work that I do. And then Peter's got work that he does with Sacred Sales and other stuff. But the work we do together, I'm relying on a certain rhythm, with a business partner, a co-worker, and we have the absolute opposite rhythm, and that definitely gets in the way.
Well, it's helpful to have me when something needs to get done fast, because when the pressure's on, I can just crunch down and do it.
And it's helpful to have me because I've got the big long view, and I can do all the planning and the organizing, and we can get this whole plan out. But then there's this creative tension because I like a nice long time to get things done, and he likes to wait till the very last second to get things done, and I'm just like, and so that reduces my enjoyment, and probably for me to try to impose what I do on you reduces your enjoyment. I don't know.
Well, not so much, because I recognize when I'm not caught up in my own stuff, and for me, Juicy Sacred Living is about really recognizing natural cycles, and that means my natural cycles and Leisha's natural cycles and other people's natural cycles. So if I don't get caught up in my own stuff about the way I need it to be, then I can work better with her. But I know that my compression, the compression I work under, is so alien to her that I have to really be conscious of not imposing that on her by accident, because that is my nature, to wait for compression.
Well, and is it your nature to, or do you enjoy it therefore because it's your nature? Because the whole conversation here is about enjoyment and creative enjoyment. So do you enjoy that?
Sometimes I do.
Is the question.
I think sometimes I just get goodies from being able to get shit done in a hurry. Pardon my language. But that's, being able to operate under pressure. And for me, I think it helps me focus to have some pressure. That one of my challenges is that if I have all the time in the world, I can let my focus go places it doesn't need to go. So having some pressure helps me just really knuckle down and focus on the thing I need to focus on right then. Double-edged sword. I think a lot of times I think of my strengths as my weaknesses also. And this is definitely one for me. And I do get some enjoyment from being able to get stuff done in a hurry, but I also find enjoyment when I can really be more organic about things and not be under a tight deadline.
Well, and what is enjoyment anyway? I mean, maybe if people have a different definition of enjoyment. This is something that I found recently. Some of you may know that I work with the brain quite a bit in the work that I do, and that the creation of new neural pathways, is something that we all are very excited about, because it means that our brains are able to be changed at any time. It's not true that our brain stops developing when we're little babies, and it's not true that if we lose brain cells that we can't regenerate them. They actually, the latest neuroscience says that our brains are absolutely able to be changed, and we are absolutely able to create new brain cells. Mm-hmm. So neuroplasticity and neurogenesis are two really hot topics right now. And one of the ways that we create new neural pathways and synapses to connect neural pathways is through repetition. And that is the way something gets, in our brain as a pattern, is to repeat it, of course, because every time we have a thought or experience, we create a neural pathway. But if we repeat it over and over and over again, that pathway gets much stronger, like a superhighway, versus like a little country road. Superhighway meaning that's the energy is moving, the electric impulses are moving in the brain along that neural pathway. Mm-hmm. And this recent thing came out that I'm going to actually read it to you. that it's been determined that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new neural pathway, unless you do it with play, in which case it takes 10 to 20 repetitions. So look at, 400 repetitions to create something, a new way of looking at things, a new way of perceiving the world, a new way of living, a new way of enjoying, perhaps. 400 repetitions or 10 or 20 repetitions because it's playfully done. And so this is really about like how kids learn, and the brilliance of letting kids play and letting them learn through play and reminding that we have permission to do that too, that we can give ourselves permission to enjoy creating, and that actually helps our brain snap into shape and get the program a whole lot quicker. Like, you're the math guy, so way more than I am. The percentage, 400.
20 times faster.
20?
At least 20 times.
At
20 to
least
40 times faster.
20 to 40 times faster to do it through play. Now that's huge. If we can learn something new that much faster, then play should be like the next operating system for everything done in the world. Businesses should be employing play as a way of training their employees. And
well, they are. That play learning is something that's happening. And I was just thinking of something, because this is a fresh discussion. We haven't pre-discussed this. This is a discussion we're having with you.
You know us. We're going to be real with you.
We'll be real. And I was just thinking about that whole under pressure thing for me. Mm-hmm. And what I do when I'm under pressure is I turn it into a game. I turn it into play. And I've always done that, especially with things that are difficult or I don't like to do. Like in sales, cold calling is something that people really just dislike doing. But if you turn it into a game, how far can I get? How many people can I see? Kind of in a how do I accomplish this? Then it changes the relationship to it. And so when I'm under a task, I turn it into a game of how fast can I get this done? How, can I get it done right? What are the ways I can do it? Then it takes it from being a crushing pressure into a playful exploration of how I can get it done. And I know the times when I act that way and when I act from the crushing pressure, because I don't do it all the time. There are times when the crushing pressure is too much. But if I can turn it into a game, like, I've only got 4 hours to get all this stuff. How fast can I knock these off the list? How fast can I get this part done and this part done and this part done so I can beat the clock?
And that's the different definitions of enjoyment, because I would not enjoy that at all. That crushes, yeah. So my enjoyment is having time and space, and I can relax and just la la la, and taking all the time I need. So what do you enjoy? Like, what's enjoyment for you? What's your definition of enjoyment? Like, you've heard a couple different definitions for us and how very different our definitions may be. But we have some similar definitions too.
Oh yeah, we
like
love to take time
culture,
over good food and art and music.
Yeah, and going places. Like we literally been traveling full time for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in March for me anyway. And the settling in and getting to know places and people, and getting to know a culture, and getting to know the food and the wine and the art and the history, and we have that in common for sure as an enjoyment factor.
Yeah.
We love new experiences.
Absolutely,
that's really a big enjoyment for us.
That's big play, and connecting with people at a deep level too. Like one of the things we're at our good friend Hope's house here in Atlanta, and deepening that connection with her, and really understanding more about humans and human beings through connecting with people. That's juicy. That really gets me revved up, and seeing all the goodness in the world through other people's eyes. I think for me, my perspective can get limited by my own, where my eyes are focused, and meeting new people and being in new places and having different conversations that I would have because I'm with somebody new or different, or even an old friend. I met up with an old friend from Atlanta I hadn't seen in 30 years, and it opened up my heart in a new way. That, to me, that's what Juicy Sacred Living is about.
Well, and really then it comes back down to what is our definition of enjoyment? What's your definition of enjoyment? And the underscoring the importance of doing what's fun.
Yeah.
You know, doing something that actually you do enjoy, and making sure that you're inserting that into your life as much as you possibly can. Not only for personal health and, you know, brain health and body, because we know what stress does to a body, and we know what feeling compressed and having drudgery and, you know, where there's no, you know, joy chemicals moving through your body, then that's not good for our bodies. But it's also good for us emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. There's quite a bit of discussion about how the vibration, you know, that we're putting out into the world, how much fun we're having, how much joy, you know, how much enjoyment we're having, tends to be contagious. That joy is contagious, and you know, that we can really have an impact in the world without it having to be so serious all the time. This is the trap I have fallen into many times in my life, is feeling so concerned with what's going on with the world as a cultural creative, you know, which is what I'm supposed to be doing. I am supposed to be paying attention to that, but it becoming so heavy, you know, it becoming such a serious pursuit, and getting so concerned, and these worry lines starting to get etched into my, you know, forehead, where it's like, you know, it's not, you know, you wake up one day and it's like, where did my fun go? Where did my sense of play go? Where did my enjoyment go? And so the idea is to turn that around, change the brain, change the patterns, you know, that we have created in our lives where things have gotten so darn serious.
Yes.
And insert some fun and joy and creative play. And what a change that makes. I mean, we shook up our whole lives. We sold our house and got rid of our stuff, and we're just shaking it up big time because we needed something to keep us, you know, moving in that joy direction, you know.
Well, and the pilgrimage we're on required that for me. That pilgrimage towards partnership, you know, that I had to let go of the things that I was allowing to weigh me down, the routines, the I don't want to say the obligations, because obligation to me feels like I didn't choose it. I chose everything that was going on in my life. But for me to step up to a new level, to spread the message that we need to spread, I had to step out of where I was and into a new definition of me, and let that child part come up that finds joy in everything, not the one that's looking for all the faults, all the little things that are wrong, but that child that wakes up and says, it's a beautiful day. I can't wait to see what this day has to happen, you know, has for me. Can't wait to see what happens today. That's the place I want to live from. That's joy for me. When I wake up every day and I look out at the world and I can't wait to see what it has for me, that's enjoyment.
So what can somebody do? Let's think about you who may be watching this. What can someone do if they find that they're not feeling quite the enjoyment factor that they would like? They don't have to sell their house and all their stuff and get on the road for 2 years like we've been doing. They don't have to do that. But what's something that a person could do? Some little change.
I find a way to connect to your childlike wonder of the world. Do something silly. Watch silly cat videos for a couple of minutes. I mean, whatever it takes to make that little kid inside of you go, you know, and just start to see the world through the eyes of joy and wonder, instead of maybe from what we're used to doing, which is seeing everything that's wrong, everything that we want to change, but really step into what a joy and an amazing thing it is to be alive.
And if your life is in such a serious, you know, place, as I know it can get, I have been there at times, and we know people, you know, our clients sometimes can be in that space. If it's that heavy and that serious in your life, then just look for one little thing that you can enjoy, whatever that may be, whether it's, taking yourself to a movie, or, making something to eat that you truly love, and like really enjoying the flavor, like, oh God, that's good. Like really letting yourself have that experience, because that's what enjoyment is. It's an experience. It's not a thought. It's a feeling in the body. And when we let ourselves really drop into that feeling, that's the chemistry that changes in the body, that changes the brain.
Yes.
And if we keep that repetition of the enjoyment, and that the chemistry that gets released, from enjoying something, then we are really creating a self-reinforcing loop where we want to keep doing that. And we want to, of course, move that in positive directions. I mean, it could be argued, people enjoy overdosing on drugs, or something. It's like, no, not enjoyment to the point of failing to be productive or failing to be in your life. But if life has started to feel that stressed out or that heavy, and I know a lot of people in the world right now have been very stressed out for a couple of years at least.
Yeah.
And there's sort of this triggered state, and there's this seriousness to everything, and we're so polarized, and we can't have a conversation. We can't kind of relax and have an open heart and just talk and be with each other and laugh, So it's like, let's use enjoyment as a medicine. Let's use juicy, sacred living as a medicine to find something in our lives that we can truly change that chemistry and change our brains and shift into a sweeter experience. I mean, we're all here, and it could be drudgery, or it could be sweet. It could be juicy, sacred.
I like the sweet, the juicy, sacred. That's, step outside of yourself for a moment if you can. That's what I would say. And a great way to do that is, if you know someone who has little kids in your life, go sit down and play with them for a few minutes.
Or go play with puppies at the pet store.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But don't take one home.
Unless you really need one and you really want that commitment.
Right. Because that is a long commitment. That's a 15 to 20 year commitment. So we always advocate, don't bring pets home unless you are really thinking it through. But yeah, do something that takes you out of, breaks the chain, breaks the pattern, interrupts the pattern.
When I was a sales manager and I had sales reps out working a territory, and they would call me up sometimes and be like, I just don't know if I can make another cold call. This is killing me. I would prescribe a movie. Say, stop what you're doing right now. Go to a movie. Go to a movie, and then go hit your territory. And what was interesting was the permission to interrupt this cycle was the first thing that made a difference.
So it's okay if I need to...
It's okay to take care of myself. It's okay to admit that I'm having a crappy time right now, and I can't do it the way I've been doing it. And then the second thing was that interjection of fun. Now, they could go out into the world and they could talk about what they just saw. If they couldn't talk about anything else, they had this experience that they just had to change the cycle. And for some people, it was go walk around a lake. It depended on the person. Yeah.
And so that actually leads to another interesting idea, which is how our enjoyment or lack of enjoyment has an impact on the people around us. I sort of alluded to it earlier in terms of sort of raising the vibe, and that making things more fun is contagious. But there is an impact, right, on others, that if we're rippling out a drudgery vibe, we can sort of feel that, right? We can sort of feel like,
Nobody.
Okay, I might not want to hang out with that person for very long.
There you go.
And if we're in the enjoyment vibe, that ripples out too. Either way, you're rippling out. So what kind of impact does it have? You have worked in companies as manager and VP, and what kind of impact does it have when somebody is in enjoyment? How does that impact the other people that have to work for them every day?
It pulls them forward. if there's someone who's really committed to what they're doing and they have enjoyment about it and they're excited about it, you can't help but get caught up in it.
Mm.
And so someone who may be in a down mood, they had a bad night, they come into work and they're like, oh God, this is going to be terrible all day long. And you meet that person, not the aggressively happy person who's just like over the top, but that person who's just in their joy of doing what they're doing. Mm. I've felt that. I felt that lift for me. Oh yeah, I do like this. This is going to be a great day. Mm. It's a shift. And I've also been that person when people are having a rough day, to find a way to shift things just a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of attitude from here and from here, from your heart and from your mind. From your heart to know that there's something, you know what enjoyment is. And if you're not feeling it, use this to create a new circumstance for yourself, to interrupt it. Change that groove that you've got, that mental groove that you got. And the more playful you can make it, the faster you can change that groove.
And if you move in spiritual directions, like we definitely do, mm-hmm. the idea of shifting into a frequency that is rippling out something that's peace-inducing or joy-inducing, as opposed to tension-inducing or anger or sadness-inducing, even though those are all normal emotions, and then we're human and we go through that, and that's mm-hmm. normal. But when we get stuck in it, that it's not particularly productive for us, and so that we can choose to be in enjoyment, and that has this huge impact for ourselves, but also the people that have to live with us. Right?
Oh, I know. When I'm a sourpuss, I often tell that I'm a sourpuss because I watch Leisha's mood drop.
Well, and the same when I'm like uber serious. I'm like, here's the lines. Gotta get shit done. Gotta get things done. And we're pushing and pressing, and we both riff off of each other, especially because we're so close. And mm-hmm. You can think in terms of your intimate relationships or your family, your children. And people that have to work with you every day, who choose to work with you every day, that there is a benefit for them if we're in a joy place, or at least, working towards that enjoyment of life place.
Yes.
And so again, starting small, starting in the places where you can. And if you are ready to move to mastery level, then, you're looking at creating your life in a joyful way, like we are. We are seriously, intentionally, not seriously, intentionally, playfully, intentionally, consciously creating our lives in such a way that we're enjoying it, that we want to enjoy our lives. We want to enjoy what we create, whether we're creating courses or creating retreats or creating expeditions to take people to, or, writing books, whatever we're creating, art, that it be joyful rather than the opposite of that.
Which, joyful or drudgery?
Well, we have been saying the word drudgery quite a bit, so it's looking for something a little more original than that. But whatever the opposite of joy is, let's move away from that. Let's create the habit through play, whatever it is that you're looking to create in your life through play. And then your brain gets it so much faster. And I love that.
Me too.
Yeah. More play.
More play.
More play.
More play.
More enjoyment. More enjoyment. So join us. We're going to be doing a live broadcast every Friday at noon Eastern Time here at Juicy Sacred Living TV. We have exciting things to share with you coming in the new year. We're going to be having a Juicy Sacred Sunday service online, so that people who are looking for something beyond a more traditional, Sunday service, that we're taking things in a direction that is growthful and conscious and playful and joyful, and lots more than that too. So you can join us for Sunday services, and stay tuned here at Juicy Sacred Living TV, and we will get you all the details soon.
Love to all of you. We will see you soon, next Friday at noon,
Lots
wherever
of
we are.
Lots of love.
Bye-bye.